everyone. Yeah. Welcome to the Buddha's birthday special ceremony. And I think you all have a very close karmic bond or Dharma affinity. That's why at least this morning we gathered together to celebrate the Buddha's birthday. The Buddha said, among various blessings or merits, having good relationship with the teachers and the Dharma friends is the biggest blessing. Yeah. I think we all are very blessed person. This story comes from Buddhist scripture. There was one traveler walking on a field. All of a sudden, the field caught on fire, and he started to run. To make matters worse, one angry elephant appeared and started to chase him. So he ran for his life. When he reached to the edge of the cliff, luckily, he saw one big tree with lots of vines hanging below. So he climbed to the top of the tree and hanging on vine in order to jump down at the bottom. At the bottom, he saw there is a well that's abandoned, dry well. But there were 5 slithering snakes at the bottom of the well, so he could not jump down. When you go down to the tree, then he can be killed by the angry elephant, but he cannot hang on the vine forever. As the darkness set in, 2 mice appeared, one white rat, one black rat. They started to gnaw the vine. He did not know what to do. At the moment, he discovered that there was on the tree empty beehive. From there, honey was dripping from that hive. So forgetting all his dangerous situation, he started to lick the honey. This is what the Buddha told about the human situation. A traveler is the we who came on earth temporarily. The field is a human life. The fire represents human desire. Angry elephant symbolize impermanence or death that's constantly chasing us. 5 snakes at the bottom of the well means 5 aggregates of ourselves. Just as we chanted Heart Sutra, sensations, perceptions, impulses, and consciousness, and this body, 5 aggregates. Honey represent what? Worldly pleasure. Forgetting about the dangerous situation, people enjoy the honey. So in the case of the Buddha, he was born in a palace. He was according to the legend, he was very, very healthy, very, very courageous person. But he realized as a human being, whether they are beggar, prince, commoner, or noble person, we have to encounter old age, sickness. We cannot attain what we want. We cannot avoid the situation. There can be some situation or person we would like to avoid. That kind of inherent suffering or dissatisfaction, we regular people take it for granted. We are living compromising that situation. But in the Buddha's case, it was different. There might be some solution to attain complete liberation. And so, as we know, he left the palace at the age of 29. He performed the ascetic practice for 6 years, and under the Bodhi tree, in his mid-30s, he attained supreme enlightenment. That's the story we know. Under the Bodhi tree, a couple of insights he attained. One, he could recollect all his past lives, how he met his wife, and so on. And he attained the universal truth. They usually say, what does that mean specifically? They usually say, Buddha attained the Dharma of a dependent arising. Or another translation goes dependent. Co-arising, dependent origination. Because of this, that arise. Because of that, this arise. So Buddha said in the Samyutta Nikaya, whoever sees a dependent origination sees the Dharma. Whoever sees the Dharma sees the dependent origination. It is through not understanding, not penetrating this law of dependent origination that beings are trapped in the cycle of birth and death, and it is through understanding and penetrating it that liberation is gained. So our founding master said, in one Buddhism, we usually say that the karmic principle of a cause and effect, the giver becomes the receiver, and receiver becomes the giver. Some people have the ability to read other person's past lives without exception. Perpetrators becomes the victim. The victims becomes the perpetrator. Just like ourselves, Buddha also did a lot of mistakes in his previous lives. When he recollected his past lives, in one life, he was a leader or of some spiritual community. He was so proud of his spiritual attainment. Because of the pride, he was not happy with his members, usually monastics, who oppose to his opinion or who does not respect him. From time to time, he dismissed those members. Because of that unwholesome karmic seed the Buddha planted in his past life, in that life in India, he had to harvest the result. What happened? One of his students, Devadatta, he was a very serious ascetic, interpreted translated the monastic code in a very different way and took 500 monks outside under his leadership. And he actually tried to kill the Buddha 3 times. In our life, there are a lot of Tedavatas around ourselves. In our life, it can be sometimes our spouse, our boss, or whatever person around. But what did Buddha did to Devadatta? With great patience and perseverance, he continued to teach and forgive his student. Buddha thought it's a great chance to purify his karma, pay back his debt that he owed in this. And Buddha said to his followers, Devadatta is my teacher. Why? Buddha said Devadatta is his teacher because he taught him, drove him to practice virya paramita. Virya in English, it's translated as usually patience or perseverance. Buddha emphasized patience a lot. So, Pat, would you read that?
Patience is the highest asceticism, said Buddha. Patience and forbearance are the highest austerity, from the Dhammapada 184. As an elephant in the battlefield withstands arrows shot from bows all around, even so shall I endure abuse, from the Dhammapada.
Yeah. Without patience, not any other paramita will be accomplished. The 6th paramita we know, dana paramita first. The last paramita, prajna paramita, we just chanted. But what Buddha tried to emphasize was what could be the fundamental cause of suffering. My friend's friend, he studied physics. He's a super smart student. He was all A student in college. When he was a junior, he received 2 B grades in 2 subjects. He was shocked and fell in deep depression. Actually, he took a leave of absence the next semester. Most of the students, they have all A's, just 2 B's. They would be very happy. But the problem is not 2 B's. His attachment to that academic achievement. When I was a junior high, probably 9th grade, before graduation, one photographer came to our school, and he took photos of our students for yearbook. When I saw my photo, it came out terribly. I was very unhappy. And back then, yearbook photos were used for blind date. So I was in agony. The photo was terrible. So I thought about it for 1 week and decided in my mind, why don't I go to the photo studio? And then I actually went there. It's located at the end of the bus line. And I explained that this photo is you need to take my photo again. And he took photo again. But anyway, He didn't bother himself to update the photo. Many students didn't bother his photo, especially boy students. But I minded. The photo is not the problem. Well, maybe the problem. The root problem was my attachment to that photo. When I think about that, it's very nothing, but at the time I was serious. So, Buddha said, the fundamental cause of suffering is tanha. Tanha, Sanskrit literally means thirst. Thirst for power, thirst for wealth, thirst for recognition, and so on. Just like our body becomes thirsty for water when it needs some water. Our second head Dharma master said, one of the greatest Buddhist master in Buddhist history is Master Songchan, the third patriarch of the Chinese Zen Buddhism. One day, Master Songchan was visited by a very young monk. Even though he practiced for years, his mind is really in turmoil with many things. So the young monk asked to Master Songchan, Master, I want liberation. Master Songchan replied, who has bound you? He replied, nobody has bound me. Then Songchan said, then why do you seek liberation? Under that word, he had the first awakening. The young monk later became Doxin, the fourth patriarch of the Chinese Zen Buddhism. It is not our children's spouse or our situation. The root problem is within ourselves, the attachment. Externally, we do our best to change our environment, but more importantly, as a practitioner, internally, we need to deal with our mind. Even though we would like to let go of lots of unwholesome desire or attachment, it's not easy. That's why we practice. So, when you read the Diamond Sutra on chapter 2, one monastic asked to the Buddha, how can I center my mind? His mind is always distracted by many things. Do you know what Buddha's reply? If I were there, I would say you need to meditate more, but Buddha didn't reply in that way. Give rise a great aspiration to deliver all sentient beings. Then your petty desires will subside naturally. We are attracted or distracted by many things. Usually that's very worldly or secular. Many times intellectually we already know that's not that worthwhile, but it's hard to let go of it. That's why scripture study, learning Dharma is important. Which is really important? Which is less important? Which is not important at all. by learning the Dharma, the truth that's revealed by the realized teachers, then we can realize this is healthy food. This is junk food. Healthy food is not necessarily delicious, but if you continue eat that, you will become very healthy. Why it is very hard to actualize what we know. Knowing is one thing, putting that, practicing that is another. Buddha said, it is because of our karma, because of our karma. Why some people like action movie, like myself? Why some people like romantic comedy? Even among siblings, they have the same parents, which means they have a very similar or almost the same DNA. They were raised in the same environment. But their personality many times is different. One person would like to become athlete, another person would like to become artist, and so on. Why it's different? Because their karmic seed is different. You see the garden over there? It's the same topsoil, the same weather, but depending on what kind of a seed you plant, different crops will come out. The habits, how our good or bad habits is formed. Our founding master said, by seeing, hearing, and thinking as we please, we have cultivated our body and mind without the foresight, forming deeply ingrained habits. Ingrained habits. We talk too much. We talk too little. Speaking good of other people, speaking ill of other people. Getting up early, getting up late. It's all our habits. Last year, I mishandled the super glue. To fix my old shoe, sneaker. Two of my fingers got stuck together. It was almost impossible to pull them apart. The super glue, I was almost about to use the knife. Habits got stuck in that way, in our mind, in our life. How to break the bad habits? Buddha said, this is a literal translation. Pierce through the cave of habits. It means break through the cave of a habit and step into the light. On another Dharma verse, this is the literal translation. Drive the stake of a Dharma deep into your being. It means root to yourself firmly in the Dharma. In other words, discipline our body and mind according to the Dharma. That's very simple. That's what we are doing right now. Discipline, spiritual practice, Chinese character, Dalian. This front part on the right side means iron, metal. Then this part means melting and blowing iron in the furnace. This part, tan, means hammering. Hammering the red iron to create something. Entering furnace, I don't think it's fun. Like exercise, or having healthy food. But when we enter, when our mind enter, the furnace came out of it, we become completely different person. So for that, the discipline, would you read? Yeah.
The Buddha said, people refine raw metal by burning all impurities out of it in order to make high-quality tools. It is the same with people who study the way. First, they must purge the defilements in their minds, then their practice will become pure. Just as a goldsmith, having taken gold ore, puts it in a furnace, blows upon it, purifies it, refines it, and removes the dross, making it pliant, workable and gleaming. Even so, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu, having rightly directed his mind away from unwholesome thoughts, cultivates thoughts of renunciation, of loving kindness, of compassion, of sympathetic joy, of equanimity.
Okay. Before entering the furnace, we regular people are just like this earthenware. It's okay, but not that great. When the earthenware came out of the furnace, we become like this priceless china or porcelain. When I was in elementary school, one day a couple of nurses came inside the class. We have to get the vaccination, flu shot, which was mandatory. So all the students were lined up. I think I was in the second grade. One of my friends was so scared of the needle, he ran away. And a couple of students searched him. Actually, before he got the shot, the nurse cannot move to another class. So it turned out he was hiding in the bathroom. So he was brought in there and he got the shot. I thought it's very painful, but I discovered it's not that bad. It's very, very temporary thing. But we become healthy. It's exactly the same as our practice. So tether ourselves to the Dharma in this tempting world. They say meditation is the mind of the Buddha. Scripture is the words, the speech of the Buddha. Precepts are the actions, the deeds of the Buddha. So if we continue to practice, study scripture, and live a mindful life, someday all of us will become this expensive, fine china. And do not forget, it takes time. Do not forget.